Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is January the 23rd, 2024. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits, and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. I wound up taking a more or less half day at work. I wound up just leaving at lunch, just saying, that's the day for me. I had some technical issues with my kit, if so to speak. I always keep a charger on me, phone charger, especially just back from my door dashing days. My car, my little old jalopy, it doesn't have a working car charger. So having a charge for my phone, especially back then, was just so imperative. I had to have it. So I fucked around with some rinky-dink chargers. They didn't work so well, and I leveled up to an Anchor one. That's what they're called, and got that from good old Best Buy. Not sponsored, but it worked out really well. I feel like I've had it for at least a year or two more. I'm terrible with fucking time, but I looked at it the other day because I was having some issues charging my phone, and it had this huge crack in the back, and I have no idea how it got there. I have no idea what I did. Maybe I just belly flopped my fanny pack on. I don't know. I have no idea. But needless to say, needed a new one. Was able to get a new one today, so that's good. Now I can just continue to be on my phone like I always am. And so yeah, today was a dub. Today was good. Let's see. Food Corner was beef and rice bowl. It was very yummy. And yeah, let me go ahead and I'm gonna skip the startup. F it. Forget about it. We'll get to that later. Let me go ahead and get into some news. From Reuters. Ukraine shelling of Russian-controlled city of Donetsk kills 27, officials say. 27 people were killed and 25 injured when Ukrainian forces shelled the Russian-controlled city of Donetsk in eastern Ukraine. Denis Pushilin, the Russian-appointed head of Donetsk region, said on Sunday. According to Alexei Kulimazin, go for that, the city's Russian-installed mayor, Ukrainian forces bombarded a busy area where shops and a market are located. Pushilin said the city was shelled by Ukrainian artillery. Reuters photographs and video taken at the scene showed crying people, some of whom said they had lost relatives, and bodies lying on blood-soaked snow near the city's markets. Pushilin announced a day of mourning on Monday in Donetsk People's Republic, the name given to the part of the region Russia says it has annexed. Now, Zelensky did his. Apparently, I didn't know this. I figured this would have stopped after so long ago. Maybe not stopped, just not has been a nightly address. But apparently, in his nightly address, he kind of does his rundown and says that Russia has shelled more than 100 cities, towns, and villages in 9 regions in Ukraine, and that the attacks in the Donetsk region have been particularly severe. So essentially, this is kind of where the finger pointing is starting, where you're seeing some people say, hey, on Russia's side, no, this was a Ukrainian attack. And then you have, Zelensky say, no, this was a Russian thing. You have, some people kind of just saying, oh, no, we're kind of being a little silent. Let's see. Ukrainian forces in Tavria, or Southern Zone, said in a Facebook post that soldiers under its command were not responsible. Donetsk is Ukraine, it said. Russia will have to answer for taking lives of Ukrainians. But I mean, that they're saying their division, you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, we might ever know, or maybe, in months down the line, we'll actually come to a conclusion on what happened. That happens sometimes. If I'm putting my speculation hat on, my money is on that this was a Ukrainian strike. I know they're in a very complicated, situation here, where this is now Russian-controlled situation, but yet this is still Ukraine, right? At least according to the logic, you're trying to get this area back, and it definitely leaves you in a sticky wicket. But who can say? Who knows? Time will tell. You gotta say all that, right? Also, I believe that Russia, once again, kind of the tit for tat. I think on Sunday, Russia's defense ministry said Russian forces had taken control of the village of Krokhalamani in Ukraine's northeastern Kharkiv region. Now, Ukraine's like, it's small potatoes, doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. So yeah, that's where we are with that. Let's segue to another conflict, another major conflict that we've been covering. We're gonna a little bit of a hop and skip, so to speak. But this from the Hill. Pro-Palestinian protesters say they were attacked with a stink bomb at Columbia University. I'd initially heard this reported as like an acid attack. That's really crazy. That being said, it's still being a stink bomb still is like, oh man, it's fucked up. But yeah, obviously though, I say this though to highlight that there are still protests happening. They're big, they're major, they're massive. And they're all over the place. This is just one of the situations that happened at Columbia University. Apparently, though, both sides were not allowed to be there, like the pro-Palestinian side and the the Zionist side, I guess you could say, or whatever. But yeah, that was the thing that happened. I wanted to at least kind of touch on that. But on the main front, where the action actually is happening, from CNN. 24 soldiers killed on deadliest day for Israeli forces in Gaza combat. 24 Israeli soldiers were killed during fighting in Gaza on Monday, the military said. The deadliest day for its troops inside the battered enclave since the war with Hamas began. Most of the soldiers, 21, were killed in an attack in central Gaza when a terrorist squad surprised our fighters and launched missiles and rockets, said Daniel Hagari. Honestly, I want to fast forward a bit in this article because I feel like something that number that kind of surprised me was that I think the overall number so far for soldiers killed or IDF soldiers is like 219. So I was like, whoa, because I think the other time that this was highlighted, yeah, it says 219 here. The other was the 31st of October when 16 Israeli troops had been killed. That was the other time I kind of noticed this in the news. So, I mean, yeah, these moments are major just because they make a certain kind of headline. And I think it just kind of shows the both sides of it kind of thing. But, naturally, you're looking at these numbers and it's so fucking lopsided. I think we are hitting like 25,000 people killed in Gaza right now in this conflict since October 7th. And there's also another update in this article from just about Han Yunis being surrounded. That's kind of like the newest operation. And I fucking hate this shit, right? Because, they're saying like, hey, this is a Hamas stronghold. Yet again, we found them and then this is where they are. And it's like, you guys did this in the north. You sold this strategy and you did this shit there. And now you're taking it down here saying the exact same fucking thing. And yet I think the percentage I've heard, at least from, out of news outlets, is about maybe 30% of Hamas has been eliminated. Where you have Benjamin Netanyahu saying, "Oh, we're gonna eliminate them. That's what we are here for. That's what we're doing this long work for." And it's like, I don't see it. No one sees this, dude. I don't get it, because at the end of the day, you keep saying how successful you guys are, and when we are eliminating dozens of terrorists, and so many terrorists are being murdered. But meanwhile, you're looking at this big number that keeps going up and up and up and up and up, and these are the civilians. And there's no answer for this, and it's all in the name of defense for Israel, and it's just so frustrating. I always get to this point when we do this coverage, but we got to. We always got to keep talking about it. And it's also, there's just more updates too. I'm kind of getting lost in the sauce here. Let me continue. Israel has offered a 2-month ceasefire to Hamas as part of a prospective hostage deal, Axios reported Monday, citing 2 unnamed Israeli officials. Israeli officials are optimistic about Hamas's response to that proposed deal. CNN foreign policy analyst Barak Ravid told CNN on Monday. Now, I had heard from other outlets, though, before I went on with the story, that Hamas was initially saying we will give you back your hostages, all of them, for a permanent ceasefire. And they were like, no, and like emphatically no. And now they're countering with this as if it is a humanitarian olive branch of 2 months off. And then we're going to come back with yet again what I told you. The idea we are going to eliminate Hamas, aka we are just going to do more genocide. We are just going to do more cleansing. We are just going to keep pushing you guys out of the area that you live in until you're not here anymore. You don't want to be. Until you can't. Until this is completely inhospitable for you. And that's where we're at. I mean, I've missed stories. We talked about the Nasser Hospital. It's still, ongoing, of course. I missed the story. I know NPR covered it. I saw it when I was like going through Instagram stories of the idea of blowing up a school, a campus. For what reason? You know what I mean? Like, because Hamas is there? You're saying Hamas is here. We talked about refugee camps. That shit is ongoing. It continues. Like, there's so many stories, so many atrocities, so many tragedies happening in this area. For what reason? For what reason is all this blood being spilled? You know what I mean? Because it's not helping Netanyahu. Like, even in Israel, people are like upset because at the end of the day, they want their family, they want their people to come home. And like, what he is doing is just revenge. It's just collective punishment. That's all it is. And like, they're like, bro, you could like put that on the back burner. Could you at least just get our people home? Just make the deal. That's why they come back with this like 2 month thing. Like, yeah, look, we got it. This is so good. Like, this is a deal. This is the deal that we want to give you. Like it's angelic, but it's not. I know I could talk about this all night, and I shouldn't. So yeah, let me move on. Let me talk about another fun story from the Associated Press. I guess we'll call it at least like a sliver of good news in a way. Supreme Court allows federal agents to cut razor wire. Texas installed on U.S.-Mexico border. So yeah, we're trimming back on this at least. A divided Supreme Court on Monday allowed Border Patrol agents to resume cutting for now razor wire that Texas installed along a stretch of the U.S.-Mexico border that is at the center of an escalating standoff between the Biden administration and the state over immigration enforcement. Now, this is what blows my fucking back out. It was a 5-4 split. I couldn't believe that it was that close by a razor-thin margin. Jesus fucking Christ. This is where I live, and goddamn, dude, land of the free, I guess. But yeah, this was like an emergency vote, so they didn't have to like give their reason. Let me do the rundown though, because I did have it highlighted. Chief Justice John Roberts and Justice Amy Coney Barrett, Ketanji Brown Jackson, Elena Keegan, and Sonia Sotomayor sided with the administration. So essentially, the first two are the fucking doves that said, oh, yeah, no, we actually care about people. Fucking, take the razor wire down. Also, let me do an aside here. I'm not sure if they're taking the razor wire off of the murder buoys that they have in the middle of the Rio Grande. I fucking hope so. But I think they're still keeping the fucking murder buoys out there. But maybe they're just, once again, minus the razor wire. Prayer emoji. I don't fucking know. So yeah, I mean, this shit is one of those things, once again, if I look at it for too long, it does break my spirit. And I say that because, like, when I talk to people I know and I work with, I cohabitate with, like, in Ohio, like, this is a thing that, like, it's hard to really get them to see where I'm coming from with this shit. When I talk about, like, how we just do this border shit and we do this otherism and, like, we distract ourselves from the real problems at hand and say, this is the issue. If we fix this, we'll be a better country. We'll be a better nation, better peoples. And it's like, no, dude, we'll make things worse for ourselves. We'll make things way more stale and boring. Like, we need this kind of diversity. We need this kind of help. We have the room. We can make it happen. Like, but at the end of the day, I know good and damn well the media is not going to spin it that way. They're not going to cover it that way. And it's very sad. It's very unfortunate. I oftentimes feel like a lone dissenter in a lot of circles. Not every, but some, and that sucks. But that being said, this is a dub. It's a dub that we are at least once again taking the razor wire off of our fucking borders, or at least, in the process of. And also interesting to kind of, yet again talk about SCOTUS and how their process kind of works. Like, this is like an emergency thing. They like ruled on it because they knew it was like a very important thing, but they have a lot of pies to bake, balls to juggle. I don't fucking know. Anyway, that's it. We'll leave it there for that. We have one more thing to cover. Yet again, a bit of tragically good news here. I'm going to take my break. I feel like I earned it. I didn't do my startup, so whatever. Here we go. Oh, yeah. Ooh. 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 It's so good. Okay, anyway. ABC News. Solemn feeling. Officials to expand search after lost black cemetery identified at Air Force Base in Florida. So, man, we're starting off the year with two grave stories, two racially motivated grave stories. But this one's at least painted tinged a bit differently, I feel. But I definitely want to get into it, talk about it. Officials at the MacDill Air Force Base confirmed the location of the lost Port Tampa Cemetery, a burial site where many black families were buried during segregation, after an archaeological survey identified 121 possible graves at the base in Tampa, Florida. Research and surveys of the area for more possible graves will continue through 2024, base officials told ABC News. It's a solemn feeling to know that one of Tampa's lost cemeteries is located here where we live and work. Second Lieutenant Laura M. Anderson, a public affairs officer at the United States Air Force MacDill base, told ABC News on Friday. But with that also comes a sense of closure. Rediscovering Port Tampa Cemetery means we can now pay our respects to those who have been laid to rest here and know that they are no longer a forgotten part of history. So yeah, that latter part is obviously very much a good thing. It is obviously very much a shame that these people who got to live a whole life, obviously they were, looked after, they were mourned for, they have this whole cemetery area, but it's a shame that this was just something that became such a forlorn, forgotten thing that it was literally covered up by a whole ass fucking airbase. So, that is an L that I expect America to take, but it's different, at least in the sense of like the Mississippi situation I'm referencing that we've talked about previously, where you literally have a mass grave, and the excuse of the police that have made this mass grave for people that they could not, quote unquote, identify was like, oh, we couldn't identify them, we're so sorry. But it's like, no, this person had ID on them, and you didn't even check it. You didn't even bother to go track down the people with the same last names. What the fuck? And they just shrugged that. But it's a bit different. You know what I mean? There's at least a sense of, oh, okay, now that this has happened, we're going to go through the effort. I believe, they're going to go through, like, exhume the bodies and stuff. And, like, in a respectful way, just to make sure I think, like, that everyone's going to, get put in their proper places. And I think that they are talking about putting up a proper memorial for the area. So that's good. I'm not saying that this is like a perfect scenario and that we should just like put a bow on it and say, oh, yay, this is great, this is awesome. No, this is definitely a huge lapse, and I'm glad that they are taking at least the time, the due diligence to do, more here and to, identify all the graves, all the bodies, and, once again, make sure that hopefully all the families and stuff can get, the proper, the word I'm trying to find, the word I'm finding is attribution, but, that they can at least find that kind of connection, I think is important. It's also referenced in this article that, like, hey, there's now a sense of like ancestry that people can find and connect to that might, connect them to this place in Florida. And I think that's cool and that's important. That's relevant. Though I will say, and this is me kind of spiraling out into an aside as we close out, tangible history to me, and maybe this is just my own personal trauma. It's just hard. It's hard for me to look for and want. I'm not the type of person, despite being a black man in America, like I don't want to trace my roots, if I'm being specifically honest. Now, this is not me speaking for every black person. I hate when that fucking gets done or people do that. Fuck that shit, ew. But for me, it's just like I am just very much a here and now thing. I'm a very much forward guy, I guess. And it's just hard to do that, and not to mention because of the nature of my life, being adopted and things like that, it's even harder. So, it's just not something that I pine for. Like I said, I'm a very much forward thinking guy, but I do realize and respect the importance of it. And I think that we should have that. That's like that shouldn't be something that's denied us. You know what I mean? It should be something that we have, just like every person in America and in the world. You should be allowed to trace your roots and your heritage and where you're from and what your shit's about. So yeah, that's it. That's where I'll leave it for today. Call that an episode. If you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon, patreon.com/Isaiah News. You become a newsie and I shout you out at the top of the month. Plug a project if you like. Let's see. Free ways to hit me up. IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on the socials. You can say what's up there. Other ways you can help out the effort as well and connect with me, the YouTube. Please subscribe to the YouTube. Helps out a lot. Ooh, I want to burp. Oh, I'm just hitting you with that. I'm sorry. Oh, bad podcaster. But you can like, and you can leave a cool comment. You can leave a dashing review and up all the stars on whatever platform. If it's not YouTube, that's okay. If you're on Apple Podcasting, that's great. You can do that. Spotify, you can do that. Google Podcast, whatever. Pick your poison. I'm there. Let's chop it up. Do the thing for the algorithm. Okay, that's it. That's all I really have. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for being a friend, and hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.